Well, welcome. All right, so we're gonna start with KT Nolan and Jo Ryder. KT, tell us about yourself. Tell us about Control.
Hey guys, thanks for having me. A little bit about me. I'm a debut independent author of Control, which is an erotic psychological thriller. So, kind of meshed both of my favorite genres into one. Decided I was going to have a midlife at 44 and write an erotic psychological thriller. So, there's my baby. And it follows corporate Sarah Douglas, who basically controls every aspect of her life, very business savvy, really just takes control in every aspect, and meets my male character, Alex, who convinces her to give some of that control away, especially in the bedroom. And yeah, it's a roller coaster. It's a novella style read. So it's a single point of view, which was from Sarah's. It's a very quick read, 143 pages, but it is filled with all of the emotional roller coasters that you could think of when it comes to erotica and psychological. So that's her. And then my very good friend, Naughty, actually, that's a photograph. So he did the cover for me. So he's a photographer and also is into Shibari. So he did the cover for me. Thank you.
Lovely. And tonight we have the amazing Jo Ryder reading your first page.
All right, here we go. If I had to describe my life, it would be very predictable. I am a model citizen who always makes the right decisions. I did smoke pot once when I was in high school, but that was only because everyone else was doing the hard stuff, and it was the lesser of the two evils. Hey, when you're a teenager, fitting in is more important than, making choices of your own. Anyways, I was raised to do everything by the book. My parents always said that being successful is more important than being happy. The thought of disappointing them has driven almost every decision I have ever made in my life. I didn't get into trouble, I got good grades, and I never had a boyfriend. I flirted with my economics professor once because he was attractive and I was lonely, but that didn't go anywhere. I graduated early and entered the workforce immediately. Corporate America, where things move fast, and if you don't want to get eaten by the bigger bear, you become the bigger bear. And I did. I took on the suits and became one of the most successful CFOs in the city. I knew that if I worked hard, didn't have a social life, and focused on my studies, I would be the best. And I am. But it didn't come without some sacrifices. I decided early on not to have kids because I am obsessed with my career, and who has time for that? Either my kids or my job would suffer, and that is something I am not willing to do. I am well educated and excel in my job. I make a lot of money, and I brought a loft downtown, close to the office where I am currently employed. I'm not one of those girls who tries to save the environment by walking instead of driving or anything. I just hate trying to find parking.
Here we go. Ooh. It's like very different vibes. So awesome. Claudia, tell us about yourself. Tell us about Fearbound.
Hello. Well, I'm Claudia, to the ones who don't already know me. And this is my book, Fearbound. It's the first in the Realms of Penumbra series. The second will come out this summer. It follows a healer who never wanted to be a hero, forced out into a broken and dangerous world overrun with demons and monsters. And to follow an old prophecy, she binds herself to the Lord of Fear, one of the most dangerous demons of all, and ends up in a love that should never have existed. So I think whoever likes darkly romantic fantasy will enjoy this. So if you like my first page, yeah, follow the breadcrumbs, Tyler would say. And you find it on the usuals. Thank you.
The grind of stone beneath his boots and the rasp of the farmer's whetstone were the only sounds in the fog-bound morning. His eyes were useless at this hour. The mist clung thick and heavy across the valley, but Oscar didn't need them. For 20 years he had walked this same path, step for step, until it belonged to him as surely as the calluses on his palms. He stopped where he always stopped, reached where he always reached. The well rope hung in its place, damp and familiar, the hemp grooved deeply enough to fit the shape of his fingers. He lowered the bucket by feel, counting the creak of old wood, the soft slap as it met the water, the hiss of rope sliding against stone. The bucket rose fell. He set it at his boots. Life here was dull, predictable, safe. The morning smelled of wet stone and cold bread. Somewhere beyond the fog, a child cried once, then was hushed. The mountains, always there, could not be seen, but Oscar felt them like a missing limb. He greeted them under his breath as he did every day, though he could never return to them. He missed Hildred's brandy by the stone. The thought of its burn made his mouth water. And beneath all of that, he felt the hum.
So I'm Edie Yates. I'm a writer based in Tennessee. I write dark romance that revolves around love triangles, forbidden love, and all things tempting. And this book is the second in my series. Releases May 25th.
The Devil's Shadow. Prologue. Eden. Fuck forgiveness. I was condemned before I ever took my first breath. The result of mankind's first deal with the devil, and ultimately the punishment for their sins. The devil, my lover, made me what I am, but he has no control over what I will become. When the last light of heaven rejected me, I rendered to Lucian my heart and what little remained of my soul, and then followed him into the darkness, and I haven't regretted it once. Because that's what I do. I adapt. When I was saddled with the burden of an eternity steeped in blood, when God refused to end my life, when the devil himself made me choose, each time I refused to crumble under the weight of my condemnation. Instead, I gave them war, unknowingly strengthening myself and him in the process. I hunted the monsters the world pretended not to see, feeding off their sins and sending them straight to hell. For the victims, I was retribution, but for the sinners, I was death. I gave the devil what he asked for, and the condemned what they deserved. The centuries have passed in a haze of screams and blood, and I have never once looked back. Chapter 1, Lucian. Hell has never looked more beautiful than with her in it. There was a time, not so long ago, when Eden held back from the darkness that has always lived inside her. That time has long since passed. Now she stands before me, covered in blood, reveling in her work, eyes glowing, lips parted, fingers dancing over torn flesh like a pianist composing her greatest masterpiece. Every scream she pulls from the soul she tortures is a symphony. Every tear a prayer that will never be answered. The chains rattle as the man begs, his body mangled and broken. But despite his wails of agony, Eden doesn't flinch. I lean against the wall as I watch her work. She doesn't sense me in the shadows. Not yet. And I don't want her to. What she's doing isn't for me, even if I wish it was. No, this is for her, and I wouldn't dare interrupt. It's been centuries since I've seen someone torture souls with such artistry, but my little shadow, she makes it look elegant. The soul she tortures tonight is one she's familiar with, a man she believes didn't get the kind of death he had earned. Victor Moreno, the Los Cobos, drug lord and skin trader. During his time on Earth, Victor condemned the hundreds of men, women, and children to a life in the sex trade. He sold their bodies to people with a variety of tastes, and many suffered for years. Most were tortured, and the vast majority of the people he sold did not survive. Yes, Victor was a piece of shit, and he deserves everything he's getting.
About our author here, Eira Grimnir. Eira is from Norway. In English is not the native language. So writing this book has been a challenge, but a very educational one. They started writing the World Below series in 2017 as a student, studying history, religion, and philosophy. They've had challenges with health since kindergarten, so writing has been a therapeutic outlet where characters could do things that they could not. I love that. They were inspired to write this book because it started out as a fanfic to the anime Attack on Titan. They wrote a lot of fanfic about everything. There were a lot of E's in that. My OC, Ira Thorson, were shipped with the Titan shifter Reiner Braun. However, as Isayama wrote the story, I was terrified that Eira and Reiner wouldn't have their happy ending, which is why they started writing this book. So a lot of changes later, here we are with False Flesh. They also love conspiracy theories and knew they wanted to include that. So that is about Eira and False Flesh, The World Below. For the past 15 years, Eva's life in London with her adoptive family had been good. Challenges arose, like in every person's life, but her family was always there to back her up, whether she needed another pair of fists or someone to talk to. However, one day after being called to help with an emergency by her superior on the Red Cross, Ylva finds herself in a freak accident, exposing things about her that were never meant to be discovered. After learning the truth, things change forever. And with that, I hand it to you, JC.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. Can you hear me okay, or is it too loud?
You're coming in beautifully.
Okay,
Perfect studio sound.
Thank you very much. Okay. I'm JC Dawn, and I'm going to read False Flesh, this first page here for you. False Flesh, the world below. Blood is a fascinating thing. Some hate the sight of it, while others don't seem to mind its existence. Regardless of your opinion, you depend on it to live. It's part of your life's essence, if you will. In my line of work, I know how important blood is, how crucial it is to keep you alive. I just never imagined that my blood, the same blood that keeps me alive, could be my downfall.
Okay. I have to convert the image. I didn't download it.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to convert the image for you.
That was me. That was me being silly. So tell us about yourself. I'll just go ahead and do this in the background. So Tell us
Um,
about everything.
so the book that's about to be the first page that's about to be read, it is my work in progress book that it will be published this July. It is the sequel to The Pirate's Daughter. It is called, I'm calling it Catherine's Return or Return of the Pirate's Daughter, whatever. It follows the story 5 years later after her great battle with Arias Black, the Darkling, and she escapes that realm into the mortal realm for 5 years of peace, and for 5 years she's had nothing but that until someone from her past, Raven, a certain vampire hybrid, comes crashing in with the news that her prophecy had been fulfilled. That her that there it is. That the prophecy was fulfilled. That Reyes Black is back. He is now the immortal king of the underworld and has rebuilt his army 10 times fold, and is coming after her full force. So she is now determined to end his reign so that she can end the pirate curse for good. And as she crosses the veil, she comes upon a surprise that she was not expecting. And that's what I have for now. I have to, as I said, work in progress. I'm going to build on the blurb. But if y'all want to know what happened before the 5-year gap, you can, because book 1 is out, called The Pirate's Daughter. Will be book 2, coming out this July, as I said. But book 1 is available on 3 platforms, The Pirate's Daughter, of this trilogy. So it's available on the Rainforest, KU, and Audible. So
follow those breadcrumbs, folks.
and if you want more, it will come out this July. So
All right. Early June 2014. The screeching of seagulls was heard above me outside of my cabin, which ripped me away from sleep. Damn seagulls, I muttered under my breath, eyes half closed. Slowly I opened them, adjusting to the early morning light now streaming through my cabin window, which beckoned me to rise. The sway of the boat tempted me to stay in bed. I rolled to my side and peeked out the window. The marina, my home for the past 5 years, looked the same as always. The other vessels, some large, some small, swayed gently on calm morning waves. I heard the usual distant chatter of people as I slid out of bed, pulled on an oversized t-shirt and shorts, and stumbled into the galley kitchen of my houseboat. After the hell I've been through, I needed a new life. One I made here in the mortal realm when I bought this houseboat. I took a deep breath as I glanced around. This was the life I had wanted for the past 5 years. The life I had finally built. Living in the mortal realm was a huge relief. No monsters, no danger. Choosing not to use magic hasn't been easy, but it was the better choice. I felt alive and free. It changed a little. My hair was longer now, falling just past my waist. A gentle knock on my door interrupted my thoughts. I reached for the door and slid it carefully open. There, standing on the deck of my home, was Matt, my mortal friend. He stood... Oh no, my screen went black. He stood about 6 feet tall, his skin tanned from working outdoors. His dark brown hair was parted to the side, the bangs constantly falling into his hazel eyes that sparkled in the light. "Good morning," he said, extending a mug of tea toward me. "Thank you," I replied, taking the mug and bringing it close to my chest. For a brief moment, when our hands met, he glanced at my marked wrist before looking back to me. "You don't have to bring me tea every morning," I said, taking the mug from him. "We met when I first moved here 5 years ago. His father owned the marina and was the one who sold me my home. Luckily, he dropped all the marina fees."
Hello, everyone. I'm Dee. It's been great listening to you guys. Thanks for having me. Okay. So I am a D. I'm a newish author from Atlanta, Georgia. I write sapphic stories, mostly sapphic stories. Not all of them have happy endings, but here we are. Winds of Change, which will be being read tonight, is my first fiction story that was released last year during Pride. And it is the first standalone in a series of 4 queer cozy fantasy stories. It follows Sophia and Josie and their forbidden love story and how their magic breaks rules. Hope you'll enjoy.
Sounds amazing. Oh my god, love it. And the cover
It's sweet
is
compared to everything else that's
gorgeous.
being read here.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you.
Cover is amazing. Okay, Aesha.
Yes. Winds of Change by D.O. Robinson. Chapter 1. Sophia. Earth calls to earth. The ancient oak groaned under my palms, its bark rough and familiar against my skin. Deep beneath Ellenwood's soil, I felt the network of roots stretching like veins through the earth, connecting every living thing in the Herne River Grove. My magic pulsed in harmony with the tree's slow, steady heartbeat. Focus, Sophia. Master Elijah's voice cut through my meditation. The trials are in 3 days. You cannot afford distraction. I pressed deeper into the connection, feeling the oak's memories flood through me. Centuries of storms weathered, seasons of growth, the quiet wisdom of endurance. This was what earth magic meant. Permanence, stability, the unshakable foundation upon which all life rested. The earth remembers everything, I whispered. The words of the ancient teaching flowing through me. We are its keepers. A sharp crack echoed through the grove as the oak's largest branch suddenly split, crashing to the ground mere feet from where I sat. I jolted backward, severing the connection so abruptly that pain shot through my skull. What in the 7 hells? Master Elijah rushed to my side, his weathered hands glowing with diagnostic magic as he checked me for injury. End scene.
There we go.
Yep, Zeta 5.
Zeta
Yep.
5. Zeta 5. Ooh, oh, okay. Your cover, by the way. Ah! Love it. Okay. RD, welcome to First Page Club. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about Zeta 5.
Yeah, thank you. So Zeta 5, this is the first book that I've written. I wrote it, finished it in 23, and it was something I always wanted to write, but just I have never had the time to do it. I'd read Dune when I was in high school and thought it would be amazing to write something like that. So the way I present my book is Dune meets Game of Thrones meets Stargate. That's kind of how I present it. And it was supposed to be one and done. I released book 2 last month. I'm about 3/4 of the way through book 5 and hoping to finish the series with book 6. Yeah.
Hi, so my name is Sev11. You can call me Sev7. It's a long story on how I ended up with that name. I typically do private commissions for a specific type of spicy audios. And I'm currently working on branching out into more narration. I was told by a couple of people they really like the way I read things and they just like my voice in general. And I do IRL work in the medical field, repairing bones and muscles. The year is 3565. Planet Castia is embroiled in a long-standing civil war. Though its peoples think that they are alone in the universe, unbeknownst to themselves, an expanding empire is on the verge of approaching them. 6 months earlier, the Empire decided to bring Castia into the fold. Years of war have devastated the planet, once green with mountain ranges, lakes, rivers, and one large ocean. In the sky is a squadron of futuristic-looking crafts, dark gray, triangular ships with loud, roaring engines. Looking down towards the ground, the pilot of the craft sees nothing but burnt-out buildings with small patches of green where the planet continues trying to heal itself for the sections of the bombed out mountainous area to their side and an industrial complex ahead of them. As the ships head towards their target, they dodge rockets launched at them. One rocket strikes a craft, which is deflected by its shield, but explodes right after, pushing the craft off course. It regroups with the other ships back at the attack formation just in time for fire missiles at their designated target. As missiles hit their aim, a voice over the radio deflected missile took down their shield when it exploded. The voice over the radio is Adam, Duke, Balcazar's oldest son. As they pull up, there is a massive explosion below. They've just damaged their enemy's main weapons depot, but the craft with no shields is struck by debris and crashes into the ground. The pilot ejects, but the co-pilot is struck and killed. Adam hits the ground and drops his chute, with a gun in his hand and his sword drawn, then hides behind the large rocks in a group of trees near the clearing.
Let's start with introducing Molly. So Molly Jones was born in Pittsburgh, California in the 90s. I won't reveal the full details. And has moved around many different times, but currently resides in Texas with family. She holds a bachelor degree in criminal justice. Unraveled is her first published novel. She has many published novels and unpublished poems. And she really picked up her love of writing from her love of reading. And I love that for her, and I love that for all of us, because that just means more wonderful things to read. So that was her first novel. She has at least 6 titles out on the place where you can get this. Follow the breadcrumbs. And Bloody Picasso, we have Officer Reina Gavi, Gavi. Gavi is back on patrol after healing from her injuries. And this time she has a new partner. Coming back goes smoothly at first, but what will happen when her and her new partner, Officer Grant Godric, stumble upon something that will pull them into a situation they never could have predicted? All it takes is getting routed to one certain crime scene and handling a routine welfare check. Will they be able to figure out what is going on in time? Will they be able to save those in trouble? I love a good mystery. And Villainess is in the house.
Hello.
To read us the first page.
Okay, just a little note. This is book 2 of the series of Officer Reina Gavi series. So it is book 2. Here we go, prologue. It's at this moment that the reality of his situation seems to truly hit him. He tries struggling, the ropes digging into him the harder he jerks. His eyes go wide, his breath catches, and he realizes he is stark naked on this table. I don't like when clothes get in the way, I smirk, letting my hand start to trail up his leg, just barely grazing his skin. I expected someone like you to be covered in tattoos. I have to say, I was surprised when I didn't find a single one on you. Tapping his leg, I start to laugh as he tries to yell through the cloth napkin in his mouth. His face turns red with anger, and he stares at me with loathing. Hold on to that anger. The next few hours aren't going to be pleasant. I like your spirit, but I like breaking it even more. I think I will play while we wait to see if they are going to show up for you. I beam, grabbing a scalpel off one of the tables set up next to him. This is going to hurt, but do try to stay awake. End scene.
What?
Yeah, that's
I
it.
love how creepy that read was.
Right. Oh, Villainess, you
So good.
are amazing. That was like, It's like you were built for that prologue. All right. Well, if DJ, oh, there you are. Okay. So I just read the information off of the zone. If you want to add any flavor.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
Great.
cool. Sorry, I wasn't sure if that was coming through or not. I apologize. Yes. So, oh geez, flavor. That's a fun one. I guess here again, the big thing I would say is if any of you guys have ever heard of that haunted house legend that this is based off of, the Midwest one, which is that you go to a haunted house, you sign a waiver, the actors can touch you, there's trap doors. The whole challenge is make it to the top floor and get your prize money back or the entire pot at the end of the night. This is a real life legend that has existed in haunted house circles for like years. And I actually tried to find it when I was in high school and learned pretty fast that it's actually just a giant rumor that's existed for years and years. But yet, even as recently as 3 years ago, I heard somebody bring it up again when I was in line at a haunted house. So when I saw that, I said to myself, what if I took that concept, made that house real, made that house deadly, and then had that thought of, okay, go to a haunted house that's 10 stories tall and make every single threat inside real and see how you do. And then, of course, you throw a nostalgic protagonist in there and you have, as I would say, just a very intriguing setup. And so that was kind of my very quick motivation for how I made this story.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I think my husband would absolutely love this.
It's a fun story too, because on top of that, the thing is, I'm writing a sequel right now. I have not really said that publicly as much, but I'm writing a sequel to it now, and eventually it's going to be part of a trilogy. And if you think the haunted house is just, is a cool concept, this thing in the next book and the one after expands that lore so much that the haunted house becomes a very small cog in a massive machine. So there's a lot more going on here.
All right.
Let's do this. Prologue, October 2012. Lauren Schmidt didn't expect this scenario. An hour ago, the night featured a palpable energy paired with immense intrigue. The vibe continued briefly after they stepped inside the house, ready for a night of harmless fun and better than cheap scares. It started out harmless, at least. God, what she wouldn't give for that false sense of security again. Instead, she found herself abruptly thrust dead center into a living nightmare. Her two friends, besties who'd been there through everything, were dead. Their bodies mutilated by something she couldn't explain. It attacked swiftly with feral ferocity, tearing through them without mercy. So much pain, so much blood, so much screaming. Disbelief overwhelmed her mind as she assessed her, covered in thick shadows. Deep abrasions and tender bruises littered her back. Her arms and legs fared roughly the same, with gaping wounds leaking on the ground. She stretched forward, her teeth clenched and her muscles blazing. Another inch further, yet not enough to escape the sound of screaming steel behind her. She recalled the source, a pair of curved claws attached to something dreadful. Yet her body could only maintain its current pace. Her eyelids dropped down, shielding her vision from the ominous surroundings. Flickering saucer bulbs observed her from the ceilings, while stainless steel walls contained her to a narrow pathway. She had two options: follow the hallway into the impenetrable darkness, or take a right a few feet ahead. Neither option offered comfort. Strangely, Lauren found that by keeping her eyes closed, she could at least shift her mind elsewhere. Unfortunately, she couldn't maintain the distraction. Her friends' deaths popped in, as did the question, why did I come here?
So, okay, this is a 2-book series, so I'm going to tell you about the Daisy Chain Collapse by A.C. Nightingale. The Daisy Chain duology is a haunting emotional exploration of how one instant can change everything and everyone. Blending psychological suspense with raw human storytelling, the series follows interconnected lives bound by tragedy, love, and the fragile hope that survives even the deepest loss. In the Daisy Chain reaction, Rose awakens to a nightmare she can't escape, trapped between illusion and reality, fighting to piece together a truth that could shatter her mind. In what we're going to hear from tonight, the Daisy Chain Collapse, the focus shifts to those left in the wake, friends, family, and strangers whose lives are forever altered by a single event. As their stories collide, grief ripples outward, revealing that even in the quietest moments of collapse, love continues to echo. Okay. It's like kind of like the butterfly effect style. Yeah, okay. This.
Alrighty.
My good sir, take the stage.
Thank you. TravusVO here, reading the Daisy Chain Collapse. Have you ever sat on the rocky shore of a forest lake? Did you notice how the wind chills over the water, sending shivers down your spine? Maybe you found a perfectly round pebble to skip on its surface. You watch as the water ripples as it jumps. Once, twice. Plop, it disappears below the surface. For you, it's a fond memory. Perhaps you're flooded with a sense of nostalgia. But pay closer attention. The effect of a single smooth stone can spread far beyond the epicenter, causing a chain reaction that disrupts more than just the surface, affecting lives in ways still untold. The epicenter of the daisy chain reaction occurred when a singular collision of metal on a quiet street shifted Rose's life in unimaginable ways. I'd like to say her story ended happily ever after. I wish I could tell you that it was just a scary nightmare that Rose woke up from, finding Violet and May were there all along. But Rose's story isn't a fantasy. Real life doesn't guarantee happy endings. But that event didn't just affect Rose. We're still being affected by its butterfly effect even now. The car accident became a pivotal moment in the lives of countless people, people who grew through the pain of loss and found renewed love and purpose. This is for everyone left behind, those who lived in the shadows of that singular moment. These are their stories.
Yeah, sure. So my name is Nicole Elizabeth Jones, and basically City of Shadows is the past 6 years of my life. It originally was written during COVID as a podcast show. I really wanted to do a podcast show. No one really was interested, and a friend introduced me to someone that actually worked for Netflix, and they ended up being really interested in the script, and I worked with them for a couple of months so we could pitch it as a TV show, and then they just disappeared off the planet, which happens. But I was so in love with the characters and what I had created that I was like, you know what, I'm just going to change this into a novel. So City of Shadows is a hard-boiled thriller mystery novel set in the 1920s of a fictional town called Shadow City. Follow private investigator Betty K. Troder, her adopted sister and former assassin Maria, her estranged adopted brother Michael, as they are dragged back into the underbelly of Shadow City after a beautiful redhead bursts through Betty's doors begging for help to find her missing teenage son, who worked for a mysterious mobster known only as the Fox. Who is the Fox, and how do they know the trio's deepest, darkest secrets? Will they survive being forced to face their sins of the past and their adopted father Pops, the Irish king mobster of Shadow City? Do you dare walk the darkened streets with them, where speakeasies, fortune tellers, secret tunnels, crooks, and regrets wait for you? If so, beware of the Fox and pray your soul doesn't get broken in the process. And this is a very unique novel. It follows multiple points of views, and I give hints to the reader by turning certain words red. It is currently only available on Kickstarter because I'm trying to get the ISBN numbers and sell it myself, because every dime that I make off of these novels goes to help me fund my Royal Senior Transportation Company that I started called Little Red Riding Hood Inc. So sorry, that was long. I apologize.
No, that's okay. Do you want to tell us a little bit about Little Red Riding Hood?
Oh, sure. So I started that a couple years ago after finding a blind senior man lost in the streets due to a transit issue. And I was like unable to stop thinking about him. And I found out that it is such a massive need, the lack of this need of transportation for those 55 and older, especially in rural areas, that we're seeing seniors unfortunately perish sometimes up to 10 years sooner than their urban counterparts. In about 5 years, we're looking at a total economic crisis we're not going to bounce back from. And so there was all these issues, right? A lot of senior suffering, a lot of family suffering. So I created an app and a website that seniors and their family members can order rides. There's a dual dash camera with audio for the drivers, background checks. We do hands-on door-to-door transport. And then for those that don't have a smartphone or internet, which many seniors in rural America do not have, they can actually call from their house phone and call our AI dispatcher. And we have everything developed. We are struggling to find an investor because you would be shocked how many investors really don't care about seniors or rural America. But I will never give up on it because I gave over 400 free rides developing this, and seniors still call me almost every day begging for my help. So it's the reason I get up in the morning, and every dime I make off this novel is going to help me continue because I do have bone cancer. I'm an ovarian cancer survivor. I've kept it very quiet about my bone issues and my bone cancers and tumors that are spreading. I was kicked off of my health insurance because of it recently. So this is all I want to do till the day I die. And every dime that this goes towards, it helps me continue to keep fighting for something that I truly believe in. So.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You're amazing. And again, follow the breadcrumbs. Find Nicole, pick her up, and you can find, I'm sure, from there your way to the Kickstarter for City of
Yeah,
Shadows.
if you just, I have a link on the bio, but the easiest way to do it is just go to the Kickstarter's website and just search City of Shadows. So I only have 8 days left to get it backed. I'm 50% there. So.
All right. 50%. Let's get you to 100. All right. Thanks again. Villainess, I believe you're reading?
Yes.
Shadows?
Yes. Hello.
Welcome back to the stage.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. Prologue. I always knew I'd go out like this, drowning in a pool of my own blood. December 24th, 1922, approximately 10:15 p.m. Beneath a flickering street lamp, a woman in her mid-30s lies bleeding on a dirty street in Shadow City. Her usual slicked black, short hair is now a mess as she withers on the ground in pain from a gunshot wound to the gut that she had received only moments ago. She is pushing her hands against it in a futile attempt to stop the bleeding that is staining her dapper suit. I'm surprised I even lasted this long. This bitch of a city has always had it out for me. The woman coughs up blood as the snow around her begins to absorb the sticky mess. Despite the freezing temperatures, the only jacket she has on is a beaten-up trench coat that is wide open, revealing an empty shoulder holster. As I wait impatiently for either fluffy clouds or burning flames, the recent days that have led to my demise begin to replay before my eyes, like one of those picture shows, as if death wasn't punishment enough. I guess burning flames it is then. End scene.